Is XCN a hidden gem for me? I would say yeah, even though that's not financial advice. And the reason is because even though XCN is not a small project by any means, I feel like it's often overlooked. Many people view this as somewhat of a gimmicky version of XRP or XLM. It's kind of useless, it does really nothing. And quite frankly, if you take a look at XCN, the amazing thing about it is that it kind of provides me with a project that is very similar in nature to Ripple and Stellar, but with way more hypothetical upside in terms of percentage price increase. And this is something that I find people often kind of overlook, even though I'm not telling anyone to buy XCN. And I think the reason being is because there's sometimes, in some cases I've seen, like my friends, right? They're caught up in this notion that, hey, this is just another gimmicky version of XRP, XLM, it's never going to gain any traction, but they haven't taken a look at the historical data. They haven't taken a look at the price chart of XCN doing pretty good not too long ago when Bitcoin was around $100,000. We saw what it did. And also, we see the recovery that it has as of right now, even though there's a slight pullback. But I'm just saying, sometimes people don't take a look at stuff like this and they just automatically assume that, oh yeah, but you know what? XCN, it's never going to get attention, at least in a massive way. And I disagree with that. There's some stuff going on with the Onyx protocol, like for instance, what the wallet could bring for its future, not to mention what Goliath could quite essentially provide also for the hype and attention that it has moving forward. Goliath, sometimes people like to say it's nothing special, it's just going to be this layer one blockchain that's focused on the world of finance. It's never going to defeat Stellar. I'm totally aware of that, but in my opinion, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes people care about just what a project is doing. They care about what it's trying to achieve as opposed to what it already is. Does anyone really care that Pepe is not as good as Dogecoin or Shiba Inu? No, they don't care. They just wanted something else that was kind of like an up-and-coming meme coin that wasn't Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. And they take a look at something like Pepe and it did very well. I feel like the Pepe of this space when it comes to XRP and XLM could be argued as XCN because it's this up-and-coming version of a variation of a project that everyone pretty much loves, like again, XRP and XLM, but then it's still kind of under the radar because it doesn't have multiple $1 billion of market cap. You know what I mean? So this is kind of a hidden gem in my opinion in that sense. Again, it's not a small project. I'm not saying that XCN is a micro cap gem or something like that. I'm not saying that. This is just a project that is pretty big, but then hasn't gained that attention for what it really is supposed to be, which in my opinion is a great alternative, for me at least, to XRP and XLM, but it hasn't really been viewed as, or hasn't been viewed as, in my opinion, in regard to that. But only time will tell because I feel like this is a very special project. Again, the Onyx protocol, it may be very simple. It may not be trying to do too much. Like for instance, we take a look at the wallet and Goliath. In the grand scheme of things, that's only around 2, but I think it's much better they deliver on the promise of, let's say, few things that they have going on, as opposed to, let's say, having 50 or 40 different things going on, but then they never deliver on it. You know what I mean? Because what I see when it comes to Onyx not being focused on too many things at once, some people may view it as kind of being lazy, but in my opinion, it's called being smart. Because if I try to do 10 different tasks at one time, pretty difficult. If it's just 1 or 2, it's way easier. And I think that showcases that, hey, you know what? Onyx has great leadership. They know what they're doing. They're planning to launch the testnet of Goliath in Q3 of this year, mainnet in Q1 of next year. And even though the mainnet is still a ways away, Q3, imagine once cryptos start picking up in Q3 of this year. Can you imagine what could happen? Let's say the market is picking up and then they release a testnet of Goliath. That could be very good news for something like XCN. Not to mention, $1 isn't even that insane to begin with. Let's say we assume XRP reaching around an $800 billion market cap during this bull run at its peak. And let's say we assume XLM reaching around 300 billion. Now that's combined over $1 trillion, right? In terms of market cap. XCN, considering current circulating supply at the price of $1, market cap would be around $33 billion. So are we saying that, less than 10% of that, less than 5% of that can't flow into something like this? I mean, come on. So the way to take a look at it is that when it comes to something like XCN, it really doesn't need that much in order to do that good. This is just my perspective. Now, the crazy thing is this. As of right now, there's over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research. But we're nowhere near a fully fledged board, in my opinion. take this into consideration. Has Bitcoin even reached $150,000 yet in history? No, it has not. So imagine once it does that. Let's say it goes to 200,000, 250,000, let's say 300,000 maybe. Now at that point, would there be only around 600 million crypto owners? I would arguably say maybe 700 million, maybe 800 million, because we have to take a look at the pattern. Back in the peak of the 2021 bull run, around 300 million crypto owners. So now we basically have double. So let's say, you know what? Bitcoin again reaches these amazing heights. I don't see why there wouldn't be that many crypto owners. And as the old saying goes, a high tide raises all ships. If Bitcoin does very well, I'm just assuming that some of it is going to trickle down to something like XCN. But it's really just a waiting game at this point. All I got to do is stay patient, continue to acquire more, hold, and I just wait because I think better days are ahead. And I'm not going to give up. I have a vision, I have a dream, and that is just believing in XCN and just waiting for the peak of the bull run. That's it. That really is what I have to it. Now, sure, I could try to demand things to pump at this time. I can't, right? The only thing I can control is myself. And what can I control personally? Acquiring more, holding, and just waiting, because I believe that XCN is a hidden gem. $1 is around a 50x from here. So it's kind of insane to think about. But you know what? I'm still going to stay patient. I'm not going to give up. And all I got to do is wait, because if I believe in the future of XRP and XLM, which I do, I'll naturally believe in something like this as well. And it's a no-brainer for me. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Mali the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm a peace. Bye.